guys going back there helping you. My goodness. There's nothing you do there. It's all in the back.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I'll be real. I still think maybe you can't. Oh, there we go. Told you I'd be loud. So, when we show the video, you might want to move up just a little bit because it's got subtitles on the bottom and it'll be hard to see it. So, as Frank said, my name's Kathy Huffman. I'm the area coordinator for Operation Christmas Child in the upstate. That's Greenville and Pickens counties. And I've been the area coordinator for 12 years. And I've been part of the Operation Christmas Child volunteer team for 14 years. So I'm interested and glad to have this opportunity to speak to you all today because I've only had one other opportunity this year to speak to a group of people. Nobody's inviting us. And so I'm glad to have this opportunity. I'm a little rusty, I think, but I did want to tell you that last year we collected 10.5 million shoeboxes. So when you think about that, that's pretty good. But they also estimate that each shoebox touches 10 people with the gospel. So you are part of an amazing and very large gospel network that's going around the world to the very remotest parts of the world. And we'll talk a little bit about that as far as what you want to put in your shoebox as well. But this year, in January, the goal was that we wanted 11 million shoeboxes because we always want to do more. And then COVID came along. So we're not really too sure what's going to happen. But if you will prayerfully consider what you're doing, if you gave twice as many as you did last year, and if everybody else did in the upstate, that would be a good start. We had about 55,000 shoeboxes in the upstate last year. So we're going to watch this video. This is my favorite video, and I show it at every church that I haven't been to before. And it's called Ralph's Story. So it's about a young man in the Philippines who lives on a garbage dump. So what I always tell people when I first start speaking is, if you will cast aside every thought of life that you have and try to put yourself in the position of this young boy, and don't just look at him, but look at the background and look at where he lives, and then rethink what you're doing in your shoebox. Because sometimes we have interesting ideas about, we think that it's really nice to give a gift to a poor child at Christmas. Well, this is way beyond what you think of as a poor child. This is not anything like you would see in the United States. And so these are children who have in many cases, have never even had a store-bought toy. So think about that. And when you see Ralph's story and you see where he lives and you think about sending a Slinky, for instance, and you realize that somebody is living in a house made out of cardboard and certainly doesn't have any stairs and has one room and never saw a Slinky before in their life, a lot of kids wear them on their arm. They think they're bracelets. So go back to a more simpler way of thinking than you think about for your grandchildren and children, because this is a different life that these people live. And many of them don't have Wi-Fi. They don't know anything about the world. And so we want to give them wonderful things, but things that they can understand and be able to use.
Magandang umaga po. Ako po si Rod. Ako siyang nataong gulang na kung mga kaibigan ko. Nagsasaka po kami pagdating po sa bahay namin. Kami po mga kaibigan ko, si Lito po, tsaka po si Joey. Nakatira ako sa Pasong Buhayawan, Imus, Cavite. Yun po ang aming tirahan. Karaniwan, tumutulong ako sa aking mga magulang na magpulot sa basurahan na maibibenta. Isang espesyal na araw, nilagay sa aming regalo sa aming paaralan.
You could see their joy, their gladness as they receive this gift. It's a simple demonstration of God's love.
At excited na po ako. Umaasa ako na makakatanggap ako ng gamit sa aming eskwelahan.
This is actually what we prayed for. And this is God's gift just in time because we have just opened up our classes and these gifts will truly demonstrate to them God loves these little children.
The shoebox that contains school supplies. This will help them greatly because education is the only way that you could get out of this dump site.
Literally, this is life-changing. There's a sense of hope, recognizing that there is God who cares for him and even loves him and gave an opportunity to receive eternal life.
Ang natutunan ko mula sa regalong ito ay mahal ako ng Diyos. Sa pagtanggap sa regalo, tinanggap ko si Jesus na tagapagtanggol sa na walang hanggan sa aking buhay. Ito na ko po, nalaman ko po na mahal po ako ng Diyos.
Okay, so I know you couldn't read all of that, but this young man is about 10 years old. I can't quite remember because I couldn't read it either, but he's about 10 years old. What did he say? 9? So he's 9 years old. And so a couple of things that we can talk about from this video. One is that you saw him playing soccer. And you know that around the world, soccer, or football as they call it, is the most fun thing that any child can do. And so that's a really, really big deal. So when you're shopping for your shoebox, sometimes you can find these soccer balls deflated. And I got this one for $4, $5. I got this one for $5, and then on Amazon you can get a pack of hand pumps. And so this is a great gift to put in a shoebox for a little boy. I got this one at the Education Shack. They've been going out of business. At least the one in Easley is going out of business. And I know there are several more around, but sometimes you can find them online at a good price, but you got to get them deflated, obviously. But this will fit in the shoebox, and all the other things that I'm going to tell you need to go in the shoebox will fit in it as well, because I've done that.
Get those inflated and know how to
You need to send a hand pump. They're little hand pumps. They're about that big, and they fit in the shoebox as well. So this is a great thing for a little boy. He won't even care about the other stuff, probably. So one of the other things that you hopefully could see pretty well is that there were tents there were houses made out of cardboard, like I mentioned before, because they make their houses out of what they can find in the dump. And so if your house is made out of cardboard, you can fix your house with duct tape. So if you put duct tape in the shoebox of a 10 to 14-year-old boy who may be the head of the household in a one-room house made out of cardboard, then this might be a very useful thing. And if you're sending a soccer ball, you can fix a soccer ball when a hole gets punched in it with the duct tape, because duct tape fixes everything.
Guess what? Fox tape will work though.
Oh, well, we might have to change our little advertisement here. But, so consider the duct tape, because, you know, God knows where all these shoe boxes are going. So you may have a shoe box that goes into Mexico City, and people live in apartments, and maybe they know what a Slinky is. So if you want to put one in there, go ahead. But a lot of them go to places where children have never had a toy in their lives. So if you live in a house made out of cardboard, or a tent, or a shack in the Yucatan or something like that made out of sticks, and it's one room, you don't have running water, and you don't have more than one room, and it usually has a hammock or one cot in it, and people take turns using it. And so there was a shoebox that went through the processing center. Have you been to the processing center yourself? No? So at the processing center, volunteers go, and they go through the shoebox, and they take out things like shampoo, because people don't always read, and so they don't want anything liquid, because if it breaks open, it'll ruin the whole carton of shoe boxes. So they have volunteers that go through the shoe boxes. They take out the money that gets put in there for shipping and all of that, and they take that out. And so the folks at the processing center had a shoebox for a little boy, and it had a pot holder in it. And they thought, oh, that's really too bad. Somebody put a pot holder in a box for a little boy, 5 to 9. That's kind of weird. I wouldn't do that. And so they found out, the processing center found out through the grapevine, the distribution, a little boy got that shoebox with the pot holder in it. And because he lived in a little hut with no running water, and he had a fire outside where they cooked outside the door, and it was his job to take the pot off the fire. And so this was his favorite thing in the shoebox, because God knows where the shoebox is going. And so we don't have to worry about that. If you feel led to put something a little different in your shoebox, then just go ahead and do that. You know, it's probably going to just the right person. Also, thinking about the supplies, and I'm sure that you all do supplies, school supplies, and you want to do that because, as you noticed, that gentleman was saying how important it was for the kids to have the school supplies, because school was just starting and the education was the only thing that might get them out of the dump. And you don't realize that in other countries, kids don't go to school unless they have their own supplies. So it's not like here. There's not going to be a church like you to do book bags for kids and send them over to the school. There's not going to be a government that's going to step in and make sure that everybody's got what they need to go to school. If you don't have what you need to go to school, you don't go to school. And so it is very important that you put school supplies. So you want to put paper, always paper. I usually get the spiral notebooks when they have them on sale for 25 cents. Yep, and I've got some of those right here. And the reason that I'm showing you these little cups and stuff is you can get these cups for like 9 cents each after Valentine's Day, after Christmas. And then you can put some of your school supplies on the inside, and so it's not empty space. So be sure you pack it full. And this I thought was cute. I think I got this for 75 cents or something. But I've got a comb in there. I've got two pens, an eraser, and a pencil sharpener. So don't forget the pencil sharpener if you put pencils. So one thing that you always put in a shoebox is one of the big pink erasers, because those children don't have paper. One of the reasons they can't go to school is that they don't have paper. So if you give them paper, they're going to go to school, and this eraser isn't going to last very long, and they're going to reuse that paper until it falls apart. So be sure you put a big pink eraser in your shoebox. Another thing that needs to go in every shoebox, whether it's a boy or a girl, 2 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, is a ball of some kind. So, of course, this deflated soccer ball is great for a 5 to 9, 10 to 14-year-old boy. But you can put one of these balls in any shoebox. Every shoebox should have a ball. It's a very simple and fun toy that every child can understand. It doesn't matter if you've ever had a toy or not, or if you live in an apartment, you can understand what a ball is and have something to play with. Okay, so let's move on from Ralph then. He gave us a lot to think about here. But I want to show you a few things that you may not have thought of buying before. So anybody buy from Oriental Trading? Oriental Trading online? Well, they have some really cute filler stuff that doesn't cost a whole lot of money. So these are, I'll let you pass this around and bend him up and stuff, but this is a fun thing for any kid. It's a little bendable creature. And I think these were about $8 for 12, if I'm not mistaken, something like that, $7 for 12. Another thing I got at Oriental Trading is these little airplanes. And they're nice because they don't take up very much room. There they are. There's a bunch of them. I think there's 48. And you punch them out. So this slides right down the side of your shoebox. So I suggest that you look at Oriental Trading. Balloons should go in every shoebox. This is a great, great toy for a kid and a lot of fun and something that all the kids around the world like. I remember talking to a missionary from Malta, and she said, oh, I always took lots of balloons whenever I'd go visit the kids because they love balloons, so I do that too. So, guys, I suppose you've heard of Harbor Freight. You know about Harbor Freight? So if you know about Harbor Freight at all, you know that there's a sale ad for Harbor Freight everywhere. Every magazine, every time you get your coupons in the mail, you know, the coupons for the grocery store and stuff like that, you're going to find a Harbor Freight ad. So they have a coupon in there that's 20% off. And recently they had some, I don't think I have the kind of scissors that you get there, but they're kind of utility scissors. I always give them to boys 10 to 14. So they have the 20% off coupon, and you got these scissors for 39 cents and you can get 20% off of an item if you buy something. So I would buy the scissors for 39 cents, and then I would use the coupon, the 20% off coupon, for something like a tape measure for a boy 10 to 14. So that's kind of a great item. You can get a hammer, you can get nails, you can get screwdrivers and screws. All those kinds of things are very useful for older boys. Don't make the whole shoebox useful, but it's useful to have some of those things. The kids love to have sunglasses, so I'm always on the lookout for inexpensive sunglasses. And you know you can't have liquids, but you can always get these dry paints for kids. Yeah? These are toothbrushes, and you can get these on Overstock.com. You can get 144 individually wrapped toothbrushes for about 10 bucks. 144. So, you know, we're getting to the point where you could actually have a packing party, and you could all come together and have something to eat and do a packing party. Because you could, if one person bought the toothbrushes for 10 bucks, and somebody else bought, nope, I don't have one of those little black men's kind of comb, 144 for $7. So 144 shoe boxes is not out of the question. Every shoe box should have soap and a washcloth. Always put it in a baggie so the soap doesn't make the whole kit and caboodle smell like whatever kind of soap it is. I always buy Ivory because it floats. And I actually watched some people in Honduras washing their clothes in a river. And so, you know, if you drop the soap, it'd be nice if it floated. So the soap, Ivory, is, I think there's 10 for $3.97 at Walmart. And the washcloth is 18 for about $3.97 at Walmart. Really? Yes. Well, I go to Dollar Tree a lot too. That's where I get I've got a pencil sharpener in here, and you get 12 for $1. So, you know, it doesn't take long to get 100 of those. Somebody could do that. Yes, sir.
Those are the kids' go-to water bottles because everybody at school uses those.
Really? Yeah, so you just keep your eyes open, and when you see something that's on sale, like I say, I think I paid about 75 cents for that. I'm always shopping. I'm the perpetual shopper. And of course, the crayons were $1 during school supply time. And here's another ball, another kind of ball, fits in the shoebox. Yes, well, it's one of the squishy balls, yeah. So, but a ball in every shoebox. And I saw you had flip-flops out there already on your display table, but think about socks as well. Those might be on your display table too. Here's another ball. I love buying balls. This one is the world. I thought that was very educational. I don't know. A car in every boy's shoebox, no matter what age. There should be a car. So you've got a car in every boy's shoebox, a ball in every shoebox, soap and a washcloth in every shoebox, school supplies in every shoebox, balloons in every shoebox, a toothbrush in every shoebox. No toothpaste because it has an expiration date. And the problem they ran into, because we used to do toothpaste, was that in other countries you were talking about praying for shoe boxes that haven't been released yet. Well, they go through and they randomly take out shoe boxes and look to see what's in them, of course, so make sure you're not, you know, bringing in drugs or something, I guess. So if they find something in the shoebox that's expired, then they refuse the whole shipment. So they quit allowing the toothpaste because of that. Yeah.
I know whenever I've done it before, we used to send hard candy. Is that
Yeah.
why they don't do hard candy anymore too?
Well, one of the things that happened with the hard candy, well, first of all, there were people who sent candy that was not individually wrapped, so that was a problem. And they had one container, I don't remember what country it was in, but they had a container that got contaminated with ants going after the candy. And it just devastated all those shoe boxes, so they have halted that. You know, when Operation Christmas Child first started, they used to send food. People could put cans of food or those little crackers and, you know, Lance crackers or whatever. So I don't know if you thought about this before, but this little sewing kit I got at the Dollar Tree, and this is a great item for a girl 10 to 14, or even 5 to 9, but especially 10 to 14. And these are $1 calculator, $1 at the Dollar Tree, and so those are good. I always put those in the 10 to 14 boys and girls boxes. Yeah, solar. Yes, they're solar powered, so you don't have to worry about batteries or anything like that. And this is something that goes in every shoebox, a stuffed toy, every shoebox. And I have a little picture that I'm going to pass around because I know you don't believe me. These are 3 boys that are about the 10 to 14 age range, and they are enjoying their stuffed toys. And you know, you've all had little kids in your life at some point, and you know how much they love a blanket or a stuffed toy, whether they're boys or girls. My great-grandson has a blanket that I'm just terrified it's going to fall apart one of these days. I don't know what he'll do. He'll never sleep again. Yes?
Perhaps on this picture, in there I saw you have several like $1 totes.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a plus or minus for that?
Well, the big minus, in my opinion, is if you go to the processing center sometime, you'll see this, that those, when they get jammed into the cartons, the tops break. And so then they end up taking everything out of the broken plastic shoebox and put them in a OCC shoebox, you know. So that would be, if they make it, if they're good, you know, just like the ones that Operation Christmas Child did. But these are thicker, heavier. So they tried to make the new corrugated shoe boxes about the same size as the plastic ones so that they are pretty, you know, fit in pretty good. So in a girl's shoebox, you always want to put a doll, and this doll is an actual Barbie. Don't get the really, this is something you don't get at the Dollar Tree, because the Dollar Tree quote-unquote Barbie doll is very cheap and terrible, so don't get that. This one I got for $2 at Walmart on sale. So she's really cute, and she has a dress on. Don't get any dolls that have only swimsuits. Don't do that, because in other countries, you know, they're much more modest than we are. And you don't go to church wearing anything but a dress in Africa. So just be sure they're clothed. This little doll, I think I got at Walmart. Can't remember how much it was, $2 maybe. That's real soft for a 2 to 4 year old. And this one I got at Ollie's, and I took the tag off because I was going to put it in the shoebox, and then I decided to use it for showing people, and I think I'm going to say it was about $2.50. I'm not totally sure. You should be able to pack a really, really good shoebox for well under $20, maybe $13. As a matter of fact, people on our team, we used to take around shoe boxes that we had, you know, we'd each pack a shoebox as inexpensively as we could, and then take it around, show people what you can do for $6, and so you can do a really good shoebox. So I did want to show you a few more pictures, especially since those ones that video is a little hard to see. This is Namibia, and this is the houses of some of the people alongside the road in Namibia. So really, I'm telling you, you cannot think about these gifts that you're getting like the gifts that you're getting for your grandchildren and children. It's not the same thing at all. This is a little girl in Honduras. At that particular distribution, if you go on a distribution, there's always a God moment, always. And at that particular distribution, it was the last distribution that they were going on. It means they gave away all the shoe boxes except the ones that were meant for that distribution, 300. And so got a call on the way over to the distribution and said, do you have any more shoe boxes? Because we got at least 500 kids out here. They're just coming out of the woodwork. And so everybody goes, no, we got what we got. You know, there's a plan. Operation Christmas Child is very organized. There's a plan. And pastors ask for a certain number of shoe boxes. It's up to them to invite those people to come to the distribution. So we got to the distribution, and there were so many people there. They had to divide the kids, boys and girls, so they let the girls in first, and they packed the entire building. And so they passed out shoe boxes to all the girls, and there were enough. And then they asked all the volunteers to leave, and so only the head guy from the volunteers, he's the only one who stayed, because they were going to let the boys come in, and they didn't know what was going to happen, because they didn't expect to have enough shoe boxes. There were hundreds of kids, and they didn't know what would happen, so they made us all leave. And at the end of the whole thing, everybody had a shoe box. When we had a young lady on our team who was on our team, and she was 16, and she went to Madagascar. And they went on a boat to a little island to do a distribution. And again, they took the number of shoe boxes. They took 100 shoe boxes. That's what the pastor asked for. They took 100, and they were handing them out in the open air. And kids started coming. And it turned out there were 118 kids. So the volunteers said, the adult volunteers said, well, we'll try and think of something. I don't know what we'll do. There's nothing to buy on this little island, you know. But we'll think of something. And so the young lady who was on our team, she was sitting with these extra kids and some of the other young people who were on the distribution. And they were feeling really bad about everything. And then when it was all said and done, everybody had a shoebox. That happens so many times on a distribution. There's always enough. And we're glad for that, but it doesn't happen every time. But there's always, like I say, there's always a God moment. We had somebody else who went on a distribution from our team, went to Namibia, and you know, all the shoe boxes start 2 to 4. So when mothers come and they have a child who's under 2, they don't give them a shoe box because they have enough to give to the kids the pastor asked for, and they don't give them to kids younger than 2. So this mother came with an infant and said, don't you have anything that you can give me to help me with my baby? And so the guy who was running the distribution said, well, you wait over there, and when it's all over, I'll go into town and get some bottles for your baby. So they passing out all the shoe boxes, and they get down toward the bottom, and there's a shoe box that has a label on it that says, for an infant 6 months old. And so, you know, the folks at the processing center just let it go through, and they opened it up and had bottles and stuff in it, and so she had her shoe box for her child. Unfortunately, of course, doesn't happen every time. And this picture I'll pass around is a little girl in an orphanage in Africa. The interesting thing about the picture is the windows will show you the kids on the outside who didn't get a shoebox. Always reminds me of the scripture of, you know, they'll be on the outside. There's weeping and gnashing of teeth. These children did not get a shoebox. So the important thing about getting a shoebox is not the stuff that's in it, because that isn't going to last. I mean, if I'd gotten a shoebox, I'd be lucky to have a little tiny piece of anything after all these years. That's not going to last. But the gospel is the whole point of the shoebox. And so each shoebox goes with a gospel booklet in the child's own language. And I'm going to pass these around too so you can see them. So when they do a shoebox, I brought this just to show you don't have to have an Operation Christmas Child shoebox. These are really nice. They get these at Hobby Lobby on sale for about $2 at various times of the year, and they're very sturdy. So you don't have to have an Operation Christmas Child shoebox, so be creative. But when they hand out the shoebox, when they go to a country, everybody wonders how they get the gospel booklet. How do they get the gospel booklet? Do they put it in the shoebox when they're at the processing center? But the answer is no. A carton of these gospel tracts, booklets for children, goes along with the shoeboxes, and it's in the language of the children, a language that they can read and understand. And so when they hand out the shoeboxes, and I'm going to let you pass these along too, they put it like this, and they hand it to the child. So the child has the gospel booklet. I'm going to let you see these because it's always fun to look at these languages. You just scratch your head a lot. And I don't know if that video had, I don't think that video had the things that Operation Christmas Child sends to the church. Because this is a church in Paraguay, and this lady is the pastor's wife. They moved their pews, their little benches, outside because they didn't know how many children would show up. It was about 40 degrees, and you can see that she has a coat on. And you can see the church right behind her. It didn't have a roof, didn't have glass in the windows, and didn't have a door on the doorway. And that's the way they go to church. So, Pastor, how many people would be here, do you think, if there was no roof and no doors and no windows, no glass in the windows? So we're pretty spoiled. But she's using some Operation Christmas Child provided materials, and Operation Christmas Child provides materials at no cost to the churches, and she's able to tell the story using it's much bigger now. They've made it huge. They've made it really big thing so that all the kids can see it much better. But the way that the pastor and his wife were surviving is that he sold Bibles door to door, and she made a local kind of bread and sold it in the street. So these people are not living any better than the people that they're ministering to at all. And she's a very nice lady and so thankful, because I always say this, and I hate it every time I say it, the only thing they had was a Bible. That's not really what I mean. But when you're dealing with children, it really helps to have something that's colorful and engaging. And so they were so thankful to have something else to be able to reach the children. This is a little boy in another church in Paraguay. No door on the doorway, no glass in the windows, no running water. The only shower in the village was behind the church, gravity fed, pour in the water or stand underneath it. This is a picture of the chief's house and his wife in that village in Paraguay, and you can see right through the pieces of wood, and the roof was just covered with some plastic. So, I have a lot more stories if you want to hear any. I'll be able to tell you that later, but I did bring a few things that you might not have already. This is one thing you might want to pick up. This is something our team made. So on the front, it has a copy of an Operation Christmas Child brochure that says how to pack your shoebox. On the back, it says what not to put in your shoebox. And on the inside, it tells you it gives suggestions on what to put in your shoebox. So you can pick up one of those. Yes?
Do you have those brochures that say boy, girl?
I don't. I didn't have any more. I used them at the last place that I went. But you can order them online for free. So just go to SamaritansPurse.org, Operation Christmas Child. There's lots of free stuff. As a matter of fact, all these things that I brought, this is all free for you. You can get it free. Yes, ma'am.
And for those of us who have phones that are way smarter than we are, you can actually Google the website and you can walk up and down the aisle of Dollar Tree with the list right there in your brilliant smartphone. And so that is helpful for those of us who leave their list at home.
Yes.
Access it different ways, but I left it at home and I thought, I bet you it's online.
Uh-huh.
And so it's by category, boy, girl, age group, and the list of suggestions. So,
Yeah, great.
but I still like paper.
Yeah, there's some things you just want to have for paper.
Say there is
Yeah.
that, if you want to do it just on your phone.
This little brochure is just a reminder to you that if you start in January and pack a shoebox a month, by the time you get to collection week, you'll have 10 or 11 shoeboxes, and it won't hurt at all to do that financially. You put out a shoebox on your kitchen table, put out the shoebox the 1st of January, you shop smart, fill it up. At the end of January, you put your $9 in, close it up, put it in your closet, and put out another shoebox and do the same thing. And so then how many shoeboxes would your church have if you did a box a month, if everybody did a box a month? And don't forget that Operation Christmas Child offers a 12-week discipleship program, so it's all about the gospel. That's what it's all about. So it's fun to talk about all these cool things, but it's really all about the gospel. So this is a 12-week discipleship program that the kids have an opportunity to go through. They will hear the gospel again. They heard it once. Someone preached the gospel to them at the distribution. They got the brochure or the little book I sent around with their shoebox with the gospel. They have an opportunity to go through a gospel discipleship program, and if they graduate, they get a New Testament in their own language. So, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You. A couple questions, maybe? We're running out of time. Anybody have a couple questions?